Oh, hello everybody. Come on in. Come in and say hello to two of the most wonderful people in the world. We have Mary Fisk-Taylor and Tony Corbell. And I
I thought
changed
somebody else was here. I thought somebody else was here. I was like, who? Who are
Who
these
you talking
people?
about?
and I had no choice but to change my background because I can't tell you how many times I've enjoyed a pint of the black stuff, the Guinness, with these two people in an Irish pub in an Irish snug. So I apologize for my lack of skills on Photoshop and not being able to make my portrait over the fireplace look proper. But when you go to any pub in Ireland, my portrait will be over the fireplace, right, guys?
Of course, as it should be.
Every pub we went in, there you were.
Every pub.
There we go. And if you believe that, you believe anything, folks. I'm going to hand straight over to Mary and Tony, who are going to, I know this hour is going to fly and we're going to have a blast. And I'll see you guys at the other side of the hour.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ronan.
So much.
My gosh, what would you give to be in an Irish pub right now with our friend Ronan?
You and I made memories. We made memories a couple of years ago, didn't we?
Yeah, we did. That trip was, I mean, we were friends. I would have called us friends. I don't know. I mean, you may have had me. You may or may not have had me blocked on social media or something. I don't know.
You were not blocked anywhere in my life.
No, I know that. We go kind of back.
Yeah,
PPA Charities Days and lots of fun stuff. But we had the best trip, and we had planned such an epic trip with you and Mandy this year that we will definitely reschedule to go to Ireland and Wales and England.
Ireland and Liverpool.
Yeah, we were going to do that. Like, you were going to have like 2 or 3 weeks of MFT. That was
It's funny. And I'm sitting here, of course, as we all know, I'm such a fan anyway of the Beatles.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sitting here with my album cover miniature cars on my desk.
Oh, I love it. I love that, Tony. I love
That's
that.
what I do. I do Beatles.
I know.
Things.
You do. You do it well.
This whole wall is all Beatle pictures you can't see.
I see that. I see John Lennon behind
John
you.
Lennon's in the background.
Yeah.
That was taken by a photojournalist from the Washington Post, and he's a Pulitzer Prize winning photographer, and he shot that in '64 or '5, and sent it to me as a gift.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Yeah, he signed it and dated it and sent it as a little gift.
That's fantastic.
Yeah,
I love that.
Fabulous.
Love it. So how are you?
I'm good. I'm really good. We've never been in a more weird time in our life.
Yeah.
We all agree with that, I think. And, we spend our weeks completely huddled down and not doing anything.
Mm-hmm.
I went about 2 or 3 weeks and I never put no gas came out, no gas was used in my car.
I know. Yeah.
Just never left.
Yeah.
But now we're kind of moving around a little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
And here, certainly in Oklahoma, things never really shut down entirely.
Right.
But and they're kind of coming back a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
We're not at all like some other states are in such trouble. We're not in that kind of trouble. But we are seeing it
fairly low. Yeah, fairly low there. Yeah, that's good. That's good. So you guys have this cool situation. So you have a studio with 2 other amazing artists. That's kind of a cool thing.
We have quite a great little shared space that myself and my wife Mandy, who's a master, as you know, and Kimberly Smith, who's
no slack there.
Go to printcompetition.com and look at their
Yeah, that's right.
Running ticker tape thing on the top of the screen, and Kimberly's always 1, 2, or 3.
Yes, she is.
So it's a pretty high end little place we've got. We don't know who keeps track of things like that, but we probably are the most awarded studio around for.
I would imagine so. With all that.
And but it's fun. It's fun being here. We share calendars, and both of them edit and work and office in their homes.
Okay.
And I'm the only one that offices here in the studio. I'm in the studio today.
Oh, wow. So you're the only one that's there, like, in your office. Mandy works at home. Kimberly works at home. And then you all share the shooting space.
Correct. We've got two big shooting spaces, and then a sales room here in the back behind that door. Mm-hmm. And it's got its own outside entrance into the main building.
Oh, nice.
So they use that a lot. I never use it because I'm shooting commercial work and I don't do what they do, IPS sales. But they do, they share the calendar for the sales room, and then we all 3 share the calendar for both studios.
That's fantastic.
And it just works,
It does. Yeah. So I think when I met you, you were in California, and then you were in
Yeah, San
Texas, and
Diego.
now you're in Oklahoma. Yep. So you've done this a little bit. You've been here a while. You've seen a few things, couple things.
Yeah.
So let's talk about it. Let's kind of dig in. So you are here in this space now, but you've gone from, like I said, you've moved around. I know you traveled the world. Talk about photography today, because I'd just love to get some perspective from you. Like, I know you're predominantly commercial work, right? Is that fair?
Yeah, I
Predominantly.
think so. But I mean, I started as a portrait wedding guy,
Yeah.
small town USA.
Yeah. So drop us some wisdom here, Tony Corbell.
I'll tell you what I had a thought about this yesterday. I don't remember what year it was that we had the PPA it used to be called the National Convention, before it was called Imaging.
Yeah.
But we had our national convention in Tampa, Florida.
I remember that.
So it was late 90s or early 2000s. I can't remember which. But I remember giving a program. I guess it must have been.
It was 2000s.
Could have been 2003, 4, 5, even there somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I had a pretty big platform program, and I had a big room, and I had a lot of people. And I remember right before my time to go on, I went and walked through the exhibit, and I was depressed. I was underwhelmed. I was underwhelmed by the quality of the work that I saw. And I started my program by saying, okay, thanks for being here. Now let's talk about this. I just went through the exhibit, and we have a problem. You guys are shooting terrible. And so am I, and I know it. And if you ask yourself in your own heart of hearts, you probably know it too. We have gotten lazy. We have gotten to where we're relying on fixing everything later. We are doing 100% post, and we've got to stop it. So before I start another topic, I want everybody to raise their right hand and state after me. I state your name. And I made everybody vow to not suck any longer. And I lost a couple of people. They got up and walked out.
Sure. That's okay.
I had a whole lot of people that stayed and applauded.
Yeah.
And the fact is, we went through a phase where there wasn't a lot of great work being done. It wasn't all laughs. And it wasn't like, holy crap, these people are great. No, we weren't great. And we know it. And that's the thing that you have to ask yourself. The great Jay Maisel one time said, at the end of the day, when you go back after the shoot and you go home, and you can win an award with that picture. You could make money with that picture. Life can be great. People are slapping you on the back, but you know what you missed. And no one else knows what you missed, but you know what you missed. So vow to yourself, stop going out there and missing.
Right.
And so
what you're referring to is relying on digital to fix stuff, right? That's what you're saying.
Well, not just that, but relying on following what other people are doing and doing what they're doing.
Okay. Yeah.
And so that goes to a fabulous fine art guy, John Paul Caponegro, who says, listen, if you're smart in this, you'll stop trying to be all things to all people. Find your voice. Find that thing you most want to do. Do that, and people will come to you for that work.
Right.
And I thought, absolutely
anywhere?
I want to stop doing portraits.
What if you're in a small town? This is what you're going to hear. I'm trying to play devil's advocate here.
And I need that too.
Yes. So that people say, well, but Tony, I'm in a really small town, and I mean, I can't just do what I love, or because there's just not enough people.
Yeah. You gotta be all things to all people. You are the general practitioner, doctor of your town.
That's what you feel like.
That's what I was the first 8 years of my career.
Right.
I did everything. We shot passports. We had a Polaroid passport camera.
Wow.
And I had a cigar box by the cash register. And that's where the passport cash went. And that's how I bought the staff lunch,
I got it.
You know what I'm saying? I mean,
I do.
We have to do everything. And it's not an easy thing, especially when you go and listen to some high-powered, portrait guy or a fabulous commercial or a fashion shooter in New York, and you come back to your small town thinking you got to shoot a 4-year-old tomorrow afternoon.
Right.
And the mom's kind of a pain. What do you still have to do this work.
Right.
You just have to do every single job the best you can do. That's all you can do.
Right.
Don't phone it in.
Never phone it in.
Can't
I'm with
phone it
you.
in.
Yeah.
That's it.
Somebody said, I'm getting questions, so I'm gonna make sure I get to all this. This is what it's here for. Carrie Nelson. Hey, Carrie. Carrie asked, can you,
Carrie Nelson.
Yeah, that's right. Can you share what type of commercial work you do, or can you share examples if there are many genres of commercial work? So that's a good point, because there's so many.
There are a lot of genres. You know, I stay away from food photography because my best friend is Joe Glida, and he's over in Tulsa, and he does nothing but food.
Yeah.
But I've done, over my commercial career, I guess, I've done a lot of annual reports. I've shot a lot of fashion. I've shot a lot of catalogs. I had a great client in Dallas that I shot catalogs for about 4 years, 5 years. Anything, and most of my commercial work is of people in commercial use. In other words, I'm still shooting portraits. I'm just not shooting portraits to hang in their home.
Right.
I'm shooting portraits to go in their ads and in their billboards, and for, you know, Marriott hotels, for a chef it's on an easel in the lobby of the Marriott Hotel talking about brunch. Here, meet Chef Bob, you know.
Yeah.
So it's that style. And then of course there's always editorial work. You know, there's editorial and magazine work that still comes around. It doesn't pay that much, but it gets you access to things that you get to photograph and you own the copyrights to, that you get to then be able to resell later.
Absolutely.
So there's things you can do commercially that you just can't do in the portrait world.
Well, what would an example, like what's an example of that? Like what's the difference?
So you're not going to get, let's say if you're in small town USA, you're not going to get the call to photograph Carrie Underwood if she comes in and does a concert 2 towns away.
Right.
But if you get hired by one of the local magazines to go photograph Carrie Underwood 2 towns away, and you shoot for a low fee of, you know, $350 or $500 or $700, whatever the day rate, half day rate or evening rate is, you own the copyright. Magazine uses the picture, but that copyright is yours.
Right.
You can sell that picture to a stock agency.
Right.
That might run in a magazine in Tokyo a year and a half from now.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
And you get paid when it runs there. So it's all about being smart with how usage works. And the portrait world sort of missed that and misses that somewhere along the way. And which is, you know, Joe and I have these long conversations about portrait people stepping one toe into the commercial world. We want them to step their toes in the commercial world. We just need them to be trained on doing and saying the right thing at the right time and pricing themselves appropriately and being paid appropriate rates. And
what would those be? What would those be?
But it's usually a day rate or based on a day rate or a half day rate, and depending on how the image will be used, plus a usage fee.
Okay, that's what we don't use. Is the usage fee piece is a huge piece. I
think about there was a woman in New York years ago, fabulous photographer named Lois Greenfield. In fact, I'm going to move my camera. There's a dance picture of her. Is that guy with the? She's the first one that did a baby powder chalk kind of a picture.
Yeah.
It's one of her dance pictures from the early 90s.
Oh, wow.
So this whole new phase that we're seeing, that's not new. It's been done.
Yeah. Like most things.
Lois did these fabulous ad campaigns for a watch company called Herman Wheel Watches. And it was a fabulous campaign of these 5 jumpers in the air and incredible shots of these jumpers. She used to be a dancer herself in New York City, the New York Ballet. So the negotiation was X usage, day rates plus X usage in the U.S. markets. So she and her family are on vacation in Germany, and she's driving down the Autobahn, and there's one of her billboards. She wasn't paid for usage internationally.
Yeah.
She was paid for usage domestically. Portrait folks would miss that or wouldn't know what to do if they saw it. She called her studio agent, her rep, who then called the client. They didn't have to sue, but they threatened to sue and then sent an additional invoice, which the client paid for additional international usage.
Right.
She helped establish their brand with her imagery. She should be paid for that.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And that's what portrait people miss sometimes, is that you are helping a client establish their brand.
Right. Because we look at it, a wedding and portrait photographers, we look at it as pleasing the client. This is my son, beautiful portrait. You
That's
know what I
great.
mean? Yeah.
Yeah.
So let me ask you a couple questions. And Dave, thank you for your well, hi Jamie Hayes. Jamie Hayes just logged in.
Jamie Hayes. Jamie Hayes in the house.
And I'll get to your questions, Dave. But we talk about this. Now that people more than ever, and you've seen this, so it's not just companies. We're talking about our own clients as a portrait and wedding photographer that have branding. A lot of them are influencers and have all these, and I don't mean it like influencers, but I kind of do low key mean it like that a little bit, but they're establishing brands. Do we as portrait and wedding photographers need to be thinking or widening our lens, so to speak, on that? Because think about it. A lot of times we're doing these headshots or, family lifestyle type images that they are using to establish their brand.
Yeah, you're right.
Have you kind of dealt with that at all?
Yeah, and we are Mandy and I got married 3 years ago, and so we're just now getting around to organizing the businesses, and I say businesses because we have 3 distinct businesses between she and I, and we have to get them all under one umbrella. They can all have their own identity, but one of those in the commercial side is for branding, which includes not just headshots, but it's headshots, it's drone footage, it's everything about branding your company. Right. And so we're in the process of setting that up now. Okay. I think that if portrait photographers would make friends with commercial photographers in their areas, buy lunch, go buy them a beer, and have a conversation, and let them know there are clients of mine that are portrait clients that want me to do this work. And I'm not taking work away from you. You're not going to get the work. They're going to come to me anyway. Right. I just want to do it the right way. Can you guide me a little bit? Yes. And I think for the most part, commercial photographers will. I think for the most part, we're all in this together. And everybody's going to get the same slice of the pie. It'd be great if we could just make the pie a little bit bigger, True. Yeah. And so I do think that there's appropriate work for portrait people to do some commercial work. Yeah. I agree. And I think what you're saying is, I wish the pie was bigger, but we're all going to get our own slice. Because the same thing goes with commercial photographers in our area. If they have a raving fan, if they want a headshot or a family portrait, they're going to call them anyway. And even though that commercial photographer doesn't really specialize in portraits, they're going to do it because it's their client. And same thing with us, with commercial clients. But I think what we're saying is we want that pie to be consistent. And if you can go to me and I don't know any better and I haven't done the work and I haven't gotten the knowledge and I'm just charging you $250 and giving you an image, or God forbid less than that, then, and the commercial photographer is like, you just gave away so much profit, so much work, so much intellect, your creativity, you just gave it away for what I would have charged 5 times that, because you're giving them 5. You know what I'm saying? Or you didn't maintain your rights, or you didn't maintain, the integrity of the work itself. I think that that's something that we need to do a lot of work with. And Tony, here's the thing too, that you have to know is that a lot of times your clients know more than you think they know. Yeah, they do. That they've checked around and they've talked to other photographers and they've talked to some high-end commercial folks. And then they come to you and they see your pricing. They're going, let's book her. You don't know where that is. So you've got to maintain whatever it doesn't matter what the level is, the dollar value is, but you better maintain that professional and appropriate fees across the board every time, because you're going to get stung if you don't. Absolutely. Because you're right. She just picked up a new commercial account for a hospital that's located in Tulsa. And they have hospitals across the state. And in this region, they're so busy in Tulsa with their on-staff photographer, they can't get him over here to cover these outlying hospitals. So they've hired her, and this was a month ago they brought her in. In the past month, she's done 6 jobs for them already. And the fees, they came to her and said, here's what we pay normally. And the fees were absolutely great, and they're absolutely appropriate. And it didn't take us having to twist anybody's arm. They understand and they know.
Oh, that's good. That's not
So
the norm, though.
great.
That's not the norm.
And they pay on time, and they're just nice people, and they know the difference between amateur work and professional work.
That's good.
Yeah.
We get calls a lot from, there's a really large grocery chain that's fairly new here, and they call and they're like, this is what we pay. And then I'm like, no, I mean, I'm sorry, I'm not even going to pick up my camera. I mean, you can take me to lunch if you want to give me that much money, but I'm not going to give you my work. You know, so a lot of times they don't know.
And just to follow on that, sadly, there's new photographers that are so new to the business, and they're so needing to buy that extra lens. They'll take that $500 or that $300 or whatever it might be. They don't know any better, and they think they've helped and established themselves as an up and comer. They'll never be able to raise that price beyond that.
No, because all they've done is water down all the hard work we've put into building our value in our community. Yeah. And I don't want to sound sour grapes here, because I really don't. This is not a negative conversation. But I mean, we've been in business for 25 years. I know you've been in business for more than that, and ish, give or take a decade. But anyway, you know, we've seen that. You know, we have to continually fight for that. You know what I mean? Fight for what we need to be profitable and sustainable, and quite frankly, what it's worth. And nothing against new photographers or people that take that money to get the extra lens or to put food on the table. I'm not judging them. I just wish we could all get on the same page. That's what I wish. I wish we could all be consistent. So I love your lead in with, you know, sit down with a commercial photographer, take them to lunch, buy them a beer, buy them a cup of coffee, and ask and learn, do the work up front, because once you take the $500, there is no going back, because there's a chain of ready to go in. You know what I mean? There's another group, another line willing to come in and do it. Yeah.
You know.
Okay.
I think the American public are not dumb. People are smart.
Yes.
Individually, they're smart.
Yes.
As a group, they're pretty dumb sometimes. But individually, people are smart. They know. So I think that what happens is, you know, when the whole pop-up of moms with cameras started, I mean, oh my gosh, everybody thinks that was new. That's been going on 40 years that I know. Don't tell me it's new.
It's not.
It's not new. We've always had issues of part-time photographers. Fine, we don't care. We invite them into the studio for conversations. We take them to meetings with us.
Here's my price list. Copy it.
Here's our price list. Copy it.
Yes.
We take them to all the local guild meetings and the state local guild meetings. We take them everywhere with us. We want to train them. We don't want them to stop shooting. We need them to shoot.
Right. So, there's enough to go around. No, there's enough to go around. Let me get to some of these questions, because I don't want to leave anybody out. Actually, you're getting private messages because you're so popular. John Bakey.
Oh, John Bakey.
Yeah, he said, when are you coming to Scotland to see me?
so it's funny that John, now that I know you're there, my new stepdaughter is doing a semester abroad in Glasgow coming up next year. So we're coming. So
there you go, John.
I'm gonna call John and have him put together a workshop for me when I get over there.
Oh, okay. Well, I want to go to Scotland. You can sign me up. Okay. Dave's given us some great feedback, but this is a great question, because a lot of portrait and wedding photographers are sitting still right now, meaning we're not necessarily, our studios aren't either open or they're not at capacity or people are afraid, whatever it is.
Yeah.
A lot of us have been approached by products for product photography or some lighter commercial type photography. Have you counseled, or what are your thoughts on, besides get the information up front and know how to price and handle it, specifically the usage of your files, but what kind of information would you give if you're in a small town and you're like, well, I can't really get out and photograph families right now, but I could photograph, there's a great little boutique and they need clothing shots or they need product shots or cars or whatever. Give us some thoughts on
I can tell you that when I opened my first studio in Midland, Texas, there were seven full-time working photographers in a town of 81,000.
Wow.
Okay. So in those days, PPFA did a survey, and they said basically there's one full-time bricks and mortar studio for every 25,000 population.
Okay.
That was at that time. So we had more than our fair share. So we had a lot of people there, and I was the low guy on the totem pole. I had no degrees, I had no merits, I had nothing. but I was pretty friendly and pretty out in the
Yeah.
door. And
Yeah.
so I got active in the Chamber of Commerce. I got active in Better Business Bureau. I was in Young Leadership Award. I did all that. I did all the stuff that a young business guy in his early 30s, late 20s should do. And as a result of that, business got pretty good for me pretty fast. But I wasn't that good. And I remember 2 or 3 of my clients in a row who had a little bit of money. This is at the peak of the oil boom in West Texas. You know, and this is white collar. This is the white collar of the white collar and blue collar community of Midland, Odessa. I remember these 3 women in a row, 3 different clients in a row. Their children were so impeccably dressed, and I said, "Where did you get this clothing?" And she told me about a new boutique in town.
Yeah.
And after the 3rd time I heard this, I went in and went out of my way to meet the owner of the boutique. And I'm looking around her boutique, and her walls are empty above the racks of beautiful clothes. And I said, "Why don't we do this? Why don't I photograph your grandchildren for you and your top 10 clients
Yep.
and their children in whatever you want. And I will make 20 by 24 prints, and I will line your walls with sample prints if you'll let me put a brochure on your counter, and if you'll let me put an 11 by 14 sign at the end of the prints that has my logo on it." And she said, "I'll do that in a heartbeat."
Sure.
It worked pretty well for a while, and then she sold the store.
All right.
And the person that bought the store was changing their clothing line was changing, and so she was sending me stuff in to reshoot all the time, and all of a sudden now it's not working now. It's like photographing for a hair salon. You know,
Yeah.
you go in and photograph for a hair salon with all the hairstylist headshots. Don't do it. Don't do it without getting paid for it, because those hairstylists move every week.
Yeah, they do.
You'll be shooting 5 or 6 heads a week for nothing if you don't pay attention. So,
Yeah, that's so true. So you
but go in and find a boutique, find something that speaks to you, and go in there and shoot for them, and get something out of it, and everybody wins. You know?
Yeah, especially because there's like-minded clients. What that original boutique owner, it was like-minded clients. You kept hearing that name of that boutique, so that was definitely worth it. Let's see. So Sally Lumpkin asks, "Hi guys. I don't I don't know when to broach the subject of usage. I'm just beginning some commercial type work, but I don't know enough yet. How do you talk to your clients about usage?"
I think there's a lot of good education that direction. I wish there was more from the PPFA on this topic. There's not.
Great point.
And there needs to be more. And there's a lot with ASMP. ASMP is the national leader of commercial. It's the American Society of Media Photographers. They have guidelines on published rates and usage rates. And is this a catalog? Is this a regional? Is it a local? Is it statewide? Is it national? Is it more than 50,000 published pieces? Is it less than 300,000? Is it international? They can give you guidelines like crazy, but it's not easy to become a member. You have to submit 15 tear sheets. You have to be recommended by 3 members. You got to work to get in there, but they do a lot of good education on this exact topic.
Okay. So if you can't become a member because she's just starting out. So and I'll make it, I happen to know some people at PPA. I'll make a note of that and see, that's a really great point, Tony. And it's something that we're very aware of, that, I think we all could do a better job with not forgetting about our commercial, photographers. Are there, I know that, Joe's teaching at Texas School this year. Are there, is he going to be teaching that type of stuff, or just the actual?
Oh no, he's teaching everything.
Okay, so Joe Glida is a resource. Tony Corbell would be a resource.
Right, Joe's terrific too. He's the leading food photographer around, but he's also a general commercial guy, and he's been teaching for 25 years.
A long time, yeah. So there's resources.
It's true, and I think that everybody's going to be in a different situation. The pricing is going to be different. The dollar value will differ.
Right.
But the concept is the same. And the concept is you've got to get out of the mindset of a creation fee or a sitting fee or a session fee once you move into commercial. Then it becomes a day rate, or it's a bid. You're bidding the job at X amount of rate plus expenses plus. You know,
Right.
I bill out a day rate, plus I bill for my assistant, plus if I've got to rent any gear, plus if I've got, I mean, everything is added on top of that day rate.
On top of your day rate. So your
The day
day rate
rate is-
doesn't include all those extras. If you need a stylist,
Day
an
rate
assistant,
is-
equipment, yeah.
The way I word it, day rate is for my time and my town.
Right.
Period.
That's it.
And
Right.
so, you know, I have a pretty substantial day rate, not because I'm a smarty pants, but because I've been doing it a long time.
No, the experience, absolutely.
So
How do you, Vicky asks, how do you get into commercial work? Do you need to connect with art directors, ad agencies?
I can tell you what I did.
Okay, tell us.
I know that after about 12 or 14 years of doing portraits and trying to fight to try to get people's thinking to go up a little higher, I said, I got to change. And one of my portrait clients was an art director. And I called her in for a meeting one day. And I said, what do I need to do to get more work, commercial work? Tell me where I start. And she looked around the walls of my studio and she said, get all these portraits off your walls. She said, it's not going to be an overnight change, but you can start by getting all these portraits off your walls. You will always sell what you show. So I had a brand new Z28 smoking hot Camaro that year. So I got that baby out and I photographed it at dusk, did a beauty shot of it out in the desert. Then I shot ice cream. I went and bought a bunch of Haagen-Dazs ice cream bars, and I did some pretty sexy shots of these Haagen-Dazs ice cream bars. Then I went and photographed a night shot of a pump jack with painted with light and this red burst of highlights coming from behind. And I went and I basically gave myself self-assignments for about 3 weeks, and I shot probably 20 things. And I made some big prints, put them in simple black metal frames, and I filled up my studio with them. And that's all I did. And the first client that I got that was a commercial client comes in to drop off some proofs for his wife. And he looks around the walls and he says, you do commercial work, huh? I said, yeah. And he says, well, do you do any aerial work, aerial photography? I said, well, absolutely. I've been in 2 airplanes in my life, you know. I said, absolutely. And he goes, so you do aerial photography? I said, yeah. Yes. And he said, well, you probably have to charge a little more because that's dangerous work. And I said, well, of course.
Yeah, of course.
He said, we have a small oil company. And he said, we need somebody to go to Oklahoma. This is in Texas. He said, we need somebody to fly to Oklahoma next Tuesday to shoot some aerials of 3 large, deep wells we have drilled in the western edge of Oklahoma. Could you go shoot that? And I said, let me go check. And I walked around and went into my back work area where my assistant's back there stuffing negatives, you know, and I'm just like going, and she's like, what? I said, what's on the calendar for next Tuesday? She said, nothing. So I go out front and I said, I've got 2 things on the calendar, but I think I can move them both. And he said, great. He said, we'll take you and fly you up in our jet from Midland, Texas to Oklahoma City. And then we're going to put you on one of our helicopters and you can fly out and shoot from the helicopter. And I'm like, okay.
All right.
I just pulled a number out of the air and I bid this job. I thought higher than it should have been. I got it. And as soon as the guy left, I'm booked. And then I called every photographer I know and said, how do I shoot an aerial?
Yeah.
And they told me how to shoot it.
Yeah.
And,
wow.
And it made all the difference. And that client, I shot a lot of stuff for that client after that.
Yeah, and now it's easier. I mean, obviously back then you had to wait for the next, but now we have social media, we have all the digital marketing.
We didn't have an internet.
Yeah, exactly. So now, yeah, well, now, you know, it's like we were talking to years ago, wanting to do a little bit more in our market area, and one of our brides is a major art director here at, you know, Martin Agency, and she's like, look, we are not going to look at families and babies and pregnant women, and we don't want to see it. Show me just, you know, I just need to see commercial work. I don't want to wade through all your family stuff. I'm not going to take you seriously as an art director or as a stylist or whatever if I'm not just seeing commercial work. That's all I want to see. You know what I'm saying? And
that's, I learned from, there's a fabulous commercial guy in Kansas City, Missouri, Nick Vidros. And Nick,
sure.
Years and years ago, Nick said the smartest thing he learned was to create a different portfolio for every topic that he shoots. So he had an animal portfolio. He had the people, the executive's portfolio. He had the black and white editorial portfolio. He had the color portfolio. Then he had the special effects portfolio.
Right.
And they're all sitting around waiting to be sent to clients for viewing.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. He has them all ready to roll, and that can be done digitally now. Like
They're all in
have it ready.
FedEx boxes waiting for a label.
Love it. That's
so
fantastic.
He printed 1114 portfolio boxes and sent them out on demand.
That's nice.
Instead of sending them to a website or sending out a jump drive or whatever.
Yeah.
Send out 1114
prints. Wow. Print. I haven't talked to Nick in forever. It's been years since I've seen him. Yeah. Guy. Awesome. My friend Terry Wingfield. Hey, Terry, up in Northern Virginia. She said, thanks, Tony. Question. Commercial photographers charge a day rate, usage fee, and licensing fee. Are those the main three things you charge for?
It is. It is. But in small town USA, the guy that runs the local drugstore, Bob Johnson's Drug, he doesn't understand that. And he's not going to understand that. And you're not going to be able to educate him. So come up with a fee to shoot for Bob Johnson's drugstore that includes that.
Yeah, you could as long as you're counting everything that you said. Now, remember what Tony said, if there's an assistant, if there's additional style, because sometimes if we do commercial work, sometimes we have to do our own styling, which means I'm going to bring in a stylist. I'm not a stylist. Or, but that's all going to get rolled in, or I'll break it out depending on, and you're right, depending on how big the company is. If it's a large company, I break it all out.
When you do, like when Joe shoots food, if Joe can bring in a food stylist, if they could budget for a food stylist, he'll save the company money.
Yes.
And make them look better.
Yes.
At the same time.
Yeah.
These fashion catalogs that I shot in Dallas for 4 years running, they brought in 2 hairstylists, 2 set stylists. I mean, it was all hands on deck. There were 23 people on the last shoot that I did. 23 people on set. And it made this job better, faster, more economical for the client, while it sounds like it's a big expense up front. It wasn't. It saved money and got a better job. Right,
because you're doing what you're supposed to do, which is to create the beautiful images,
I need to keep focused on this model right now.
And not be worrying about hair and makeup.
I can't think about that tag showing over there because you guys forgot to whatever it was.
You're so right about that. That's smart.
Out of this model. So.
Yeah. So as a general photographer, is there a good way to segue a regular client that wants to book you for commercial work into your usage pricing? So if you have a client that's used to paying your portrait work, how do you have that conversation with them? And thank you, Timothy Carlson, for your question. How do you segue them in to, okay, great, I'm so glad, but now we're going to put our commercial hat on. Because they're going to say, well, you only charge me this, you know what I'm saying? So how do you do that? What are your thoughts and advice?
I think you have to think about it like, maybe it's best spelled out in your brochure and on your website and on all of your materials that you create. And it does go through the steps and the process of, folks, we are helping to create your brand.
Yes.
We should be paid as the creatives to help do this.
Yes.
Which, if this is going to a small audience of a mailing local, this small region of Oklahoma where I now live, if it's just going to this county has maybe 50,000 people, 60,000 people, and it's a mailing going just to this county. I'm not going to charge them a usage rate for that.
Right.
But if this is a client that's a regional and they've got a pretty big following, like there's one firm here in this town that makes some serious pancake syrup, and they've made it for 100 years. This is a serious little company. They're now way big regional, and they're bumping up against national. Okay.
Right.
Well, now if I'm doing their advertising, I'll give them the same. I give the same day rate. My day rate's the same across the board, whoever the client is. But I will vary that usage based on what's the follow through, what's the cost per 1,000 of people that are going to see this thing. How many sets of eyeballs will see this? Well, it's going to be in your county. I'll include the usage in my fee.
Yes.
Here's my day rate. My day rate for that job is $900 for a half day to shoot that for you, and I'm not going to charge the usage on this.
Right.
I better not see it in a billboard in Germany. I'll come after you.
Yeah, you would have that in your contract, right, Tony?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Let me ask you this. When you charge your day rate, what does that include? Because this is something that I think a lot of us struggle with. It's like, because, we're all now can do this, and then we look and we edit and we do, you know what I'm saying? So how do we charge the day rate and explain to them what they're getting for that?
What they're getting for that is
for the day rate,
my time and my talent. And
Right.
I will lightly retouch the hero shots from the session.
Love that.
Nothing extensive, but I will lightly retouch for color, for composition, for exposure, for subtleties of changes, global changing.
Sure.
But I'm not going to come in and start fixing hair and makeup in a bad eye or a weak eye or a reflection and start doing all that and include that. That's different. That's $150 add-on for retouching per image.
So you deliver them everything you shoot? Or
no. We know what they want. I mean, you can kind of tell. You don't show them everything. You show them the hero shots for each setup.
Okay.
You know, you're going to have 2 or 3 hero shots for every setup. You're not going to have 12. And you might shoot 30. You know? Right.
Okay. Now I think this is where people trip up, and you probably will agree. But they think, oh, they gave me, I got $500 and a half a day, and and they edit everything because they're doing this for their portrait clients, y'all. This is why they edit 50 images and deliver an entire catalog of great images for, and I'm not frustrated, but I feel bad because that's not a sustainable business model, and it's not profitable. Because there's no way you can do that and make any money. I mean, that's my opinion on that.
And that's the thing. And that's the thing is you cannot be a tax-paying contributor to the community.
Yep.
Without their support.
No, that's so true. Yeah, that's so true.
And it helps a lot to get as much local press as you can. And you do not have a publicity officer in your company, probably. It's you. Right. I send out more press releases to our local newspaper and magazines than anybody in this town. And the thing is, I need eyeballs on what we're doing in this building. When we had our exhibit last week, the 3 of us, I sent press releases out. We walked around with flyers, come see the work of the 3 masters or whatever it was. And those posters, and they're not just 8.5, 11. They were 11, 17 posters that we had printed. And we took them all over town, and we now know everybody in town because of those kinds of things.
Yeah. Good PR. It's important.
Great PR.
Yeah. It's free.
We try to always, under promise and over deliver on so many things like that.
Yeah. The good news about PR is it's free. I mean, it takes some effort and energy, and you printed the posters or whatever, but it establishes you as that expert in the community, which is what PR is supposed to do, to establish you. So when they think of photography, they think, oh, that Corbell, Lundy, that Smith, that's where we need to go,
Yeah. Oh yeah. Those guys. There's only one other brick and mortar studio in our town in Muskogee, Oklahoma. They are 50 feet away from us.
Right. Really?
We're 12 steps from the corner. They're on the other corner.
Okay.
How about that?
Still pretty close.
You're like, oh, you've got to be kidding me. Well, that's the reality we live in. They're right there. And they never get any publicity or any press. And they've got a giant electronic billboard. Okay. And for years, it's Oklahoma's Photographer of the Year, just named again by the local paper, They had to change it this past year because Mandy was the Muskogee Photographer of the Year.
I'm sure she was. There's no doubt about that. There's no doubt. So let's see. Karen is asking us, you may have already addressed this, but if you are primarily shooting portraits or weddings and you want to start developing a commercial line, which we did kind of address, but would you recommend, Tony, like you said, that personal project and start showing it in your digital marketing, like social media, have a website? So. Yeah, I agree with that.
I think you have to find the style of things that you really like and that you want to pursue. Like if you were starting a portrait business and you don't really like kids, don't baby in a white wicker basket and go after a new career. If you're not good at it or you don't want to do it, don't do it. Find the things that kind of give you a little bit of a tickle and go do those. And, if you love sports cars, if you love race cars, if you love NASCAR and Indy cars, and you just love cars, then find 4 people that that have great cars. Go to a John Hartman class and do a light painting on each of these cars and put them big in your studio and put a press release out. Now, car photography for the first time in our neighborhood area, blah, 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 and get a story written about you.
That's awesome.
You know?
Yeah, that's a great idea.
You've got to be your own press agent.
Oh, I love that.
Listen, we don't want to talk about our feathers and our caps ourselves. Right. We need, accept that when you are promoted, not to other photographers, come on in. No, really, come on in. I don't know how many people are watching Mandy come in, but Mandy's coming in.
Hey,
Mandy! She's got a client at the shoot.
That's good for her. Hey, Mandy, it's good to see you. I love it. Ronan said, Dwayne on Facebook asks, what additional planning do you do for your presidential portrait sessions?
Well, everything that I've done with the president has been they weren't set aside as formal portraits. Okay. I've never been invited to do a portrait of the president.
A formal sitting.
Yeah, it's been more like with Clinton. It was at the UN. It was a group shot of 185 people.
Right.
Bush, I came to George Bush Sr. I came closest to doing a portrait session with him.
Oh, that's awesome.
Although I photographed him 7 or 8 times over my career, it was always for an editorial use, except the last time was his own George Bush fishing tournament. And I was so thrilled to get the call to shoot that. You know? And that was in the Florida, in the Keys in Florida, at Almirada Key. And then right after that, his presidential library was in College Station, Texas.
Yes, I know.
And when we had Texas school there one year, right before I got there, I heard that he was going to be there the same day that I went in one day early. And so I sent his secretary a note. And I know they have a private pond that's right next to his library, and they keep it stocked with freshwater catfish just for him. And he loves to go there at sunrise and goes fishing with his dog. And so I sent his I've got contact information. So I sent his secretary a note and said, I just heard that President's going to be in College Station and fishing with the dog at the pond. I'm going to be there that day. Can I get an early morning portrait of him? And she said, let me work on it. And the next day, Boris Yeltsin died in Russia.
Yeah.
And Bill Clinton was just going in, and he had to send George Sr. to Russia to the funeral, so I didn't get to photograph.
So close.
But I had this picture of him and his dog and a fishing pole, sunrise, and I didn't get to do it.
Oh, man.
That one never came.
That's the first president I was able to vote for. That was the first election I was able to vote in.
He asked me at an event in Florida one night. This was a pretty big room of people shaking hands and kissing babies and they all paid a lot of money to fish with him. It was all a fundraiser for the Everglades Foundation. They have paid like $1,000 to fish with the president. Anyway, he leaned over to me about halfway through this event and he said, "Let me just ask you a question." He said, "Are you planning on photographing me with everybody in this room?" Because I had nonstop, And I said, "Well, I hate to break it to you, but I think I am." He said, "All right." I guess that's good. He was great.
Oh, that's awesome that you had a great experience with him. I'm going to ask one or a couple more questions because we're going to have to go because we could talk. Tony Corbell could talk a lot, but we're going to, I wish we had more time. But do you, for your contracts and things like that you use, do you have an attorney that draws them up? Do you have a resource for other photographers that are looking for a good resource for that?
I need to revamp and revisit all of that. I think having an attorney take a look at everything is a good idea.
I agree.
There are sources online where you can get, it's just like model releases. There are good model releases out there. There are some that follow accepted practices.
Yes.
And there are some that you make up. I think you have to really think through how much you put into that is all about how serious you're about to get with this. And if you're going to get serious with it, then you need to get serious with it and get an attorney, and you need to
pay an attorney to help you get it started, and then you can, move them around. Yeah, I agree. We try to sit down with our attorney once a year to just relook at things, because quite frankly, this year, a pandemic, guess what? A lot of contracts did not hold up in a pandemic, y'all, or retainers or whatever your state or Commonwealth requires you to use. I mean, there's just a lot of different things to think about.
It's true. And then what's out of your control or in your control if there's a big change or a cancellation.
Absolutely.
Or
Absolutely.
what happens if you get sick the morning of?
Exactly.
And there's 12 people on set that y'all have hired. You know, are you covered or are you in trouble?
Right. And that's a great point.
All that stuff.
And it happened. We have no control. I mean, we have no control over that, just like you said.
Musicians have walked off the stage accidentally and got hurt during a concert.
Sure.
You can't go on. You got 50,000 people in the audience and that guy's laying there with a broken leg. Now what are you going to do? You know?
Well, let me tell you what happened to me when I went to see Frank Sinatra live. It was one of his last concerts. He was here in Richmond.
Sinatra.
Bless his heart. And my husband and I are big Frank Sinatra fans, and we really wanted it. This was long. It probably was past time for him to have retired. But good old Frank sat up there. He sang halfway, almost through his first set, or right through his first set. And he had just had a little too much, and he fell off the stool that he was sitting on and passed out on the stage, Tony.
Oh my gosh.
And it was just him, right? There's nothing else with Frank. It's just Frank. There's no fill in for Frank.
Oh my God.
You know, it was a long time ago. So I think we all just were so shocked that we just didn't even ask. I'm sure there were some people that were asking for refunds and stuff, but I always wonder what they did and how they handled it, because it was packed house, as you can imagine. I mean, this was one of his last go rounds. Yeah, just fell right on off the stool. Yeah, I was like, well, I feel bad for the guy, and it could happen to me one day, so I'm going to be nice.
You know he's going to wake up awfully embarrassed somewhere.
I would hope so. I would hope so. Or the heck of a hangover. You know, let's see. Somebody said, oh, Tony Papa. Do you line item your day rate? Do you break down camera rental, gear, lighting, etc., to prove what's included to educate the client?
I don't, but I did at one time.
Right.
I do. If I'm doing a job and it's a bid job, then I will break down everything on the bid. Yeah. And sometimes that's what they want. They don't want a day rate or a half day rate. They want a bid. They need you to bid on the job. Well, in that case, there's a form that, you know, again, AS&P group, they have forms available, and you can find them online too. But you need to have a shoot sheet, which is a bid sheet. It shows everything, including your travel, including post-production time, including all that stuff that you need. There's a lot of little stuff that plays into this, you know?
Yeah, and you know what they should expect, because, you know, I think that a lot of times, and I've heard this from a few clients, like photographers I've talked to through the years, and I'm not an expert on commercial photography, not even close, but they get so upset because there's a confusion. And I'm always a big fan of, you know me, well, that's your fault. Because if your client thought they were going to get 50 perfect images because they paid you a day rate, that's on you. You didn't communicate properly what they should expect for what they're paying you.
I can tell you that life gets easier in the world of shooting tethered for commercial clients.
Right.
They're on set and they can see it. They know what you have, what you've got. And when I worked with those catalogs, my workshop companion, Rob Hull, is my partner in my workshops, Corbell Workshops. .com.
Yeah, we're gonna put that in there. I'm gonna write it.
And Rob is great, and Rob is the best workflow guy there is, and he's certified Photoshop and Lightroom both. And when we shoot on those jobs, Rob goes along. He's my digital tech. And when we're shooting tethered, Rob's sitting with the client while I'm shooting the models. Rob and the client are over here, and they're tagging the hero shots as they're flying in, right? And they're putting in the separate folders right there and burning hard drives right there.
Yes, I love that.
If you're color corrected, if your exposures are good, some of your clients, all they want is that raw file right now. Great. So at every model change, we've delivered the other model.
Right.
And the hero shots that the art director wanted to take.
And have we just gone full circle, Tony Corbell, and didn't even know, because we didn't even know what we were going to talk about today, but we've just gone full circle to Tony on stage in Tampa, probably 2002 or 3, is what I'm guessing, that he said, let's say that we're not going to suck anymore.
can't suck anymore.
Because you're right. You're 90% of the way there with those hero shots. I love that. I'm going to use that. I'm stealing that. P.S. That you're 90% there because you know how to handle it, light it. You're honed in and completely focused on photographing, not everything else, because that's not your job. That's not your business. It's somebody else's business right then. That's your job.
You take care of their business. You take care of your business.
You take care of your business. Exactly. So let's not suck, but because you do know, and I know I didn't even need to talk to you about lighting and stuff. That's a given with you, Mr. Corbell, but let's not suck. You getting it right and you building that faith when Rob can sit there with that client and they're going, dang, this is it. We're good.
We're sending hero shots out of camera.
Right there, because you don't need to tinker with it and be ashamed of it and fix it.
It's funny how about 3 years ago, my friend Skip Cohen interviewed me for a thing that he was doing at Skip Cohen University. And he said, give me one word that people have to have in their vocabulary if you're going to do this well. And I said, quality, period. And it's not just image quality. It's the quality of you. It's the quality of your marketing material. It's the quality of your business card. It is the quality of your clothes. It is the quality of how you treat people.
Yes.
Dennis Reggie made the comment before going and shooting these celebrity weddings. Reggie made the comment that he washes his car before he goes on the job, and he has his nails buffed.
Mm-hmm.
He said, "I am presenting myself the best way I can in every single concept here."
Yeah.
If you can do that, then the world gets a whole lot better, and they start looking at you differently. So
you know what? My world is a whole lot better because you're in it, Mr. Corbell.
Oh,
I love you. To get more Tony Corbell, we're going to put it in I bet Ronan will pop in here and he'll put it in the message. But it's Tony Corbell Workshops. Is that right?
Yeah, it's CorbellWorkshops.com.
CorbellWorkshop.com. Yep. Or TonyCorbell.com. He has all kinds of great workshops, tutorials. I'm sure they can get more Tony Corbell just by reaching out to you there. I know you're going to be at Texas School one way or the other at the end of August.
Look at Creative Live. I've got books on Amazon.
You've got lots of stuff. But you are the best, truly the best. Hi, Mandy.
Hi.
Mandy.
I know.
Look, he's in a
wish we were at
He's in an Irish pub.
Wouldn't it be nice if we were back in an Irish pub together?
Oh, yes, let's do that again.
I want to do that again.
That was
bad. Really bad.
Can't wait.
What did I miss, Ronan? What did I miss?
Can't wait to have you all back in an Irish pub. I don't think you ever miss anything, Mary, but fountains of knowledge, you are both. But, I always sum up with 3 things at the end of these conversations, and trying to narrow it all down to 3 things is really, really, really difficult. But the first one, I think, is, you have to be your own press agent. I don't think we've heard that before, Mary.
I haven't either. That's a new one.
Nobody else is going to do it for you.
Absolutely. And I love that piece of advice, and then find your style and not everyone is your client. Realize that. But I think the next one is really, really important, because you said that what happens if you're in a small town, and you said you have to be a GP, which means I'm not a surgeon, so I'm not a specialist. But being a GP, I've never seen a poor GP. Being a GP doesn't mean you're cheap, right?
Absolutely.
So
general practitioners are doing just fine, and they're driving nice cars.
Absolutely.
Yes, they are.
Absolutely. So I think some people, when they hear, be a GP, not a surgeon, they think they have to be cheap, right? But that's not the case.
Mm-mm.
That's not the case. We don't do cheap. That's some other industry, not ours.
Not us. That's right. Don't suck. And don't suck. That would be the 4th bonus giveaway.
Don't suck.
So thank you so much for joining us. I really can't wait. The only conversations I've had this pub image on is when I was interviewed, and for you two guys, because, we have shared so many moments in Irish Snow, and I can't wait till we do the next one. I really can't wait. And Susan sends her love to yourself and Mandy, Tony, and all the girls here. Even my daughter's watching on Facebook.
Yay!
So I haven't seen her watch anyone else on Facebook.
Everybody loves Tony.
There you go.
Give our best to your entire team.
Yeah, we love you guys. Sláinte, right?
Sláinte. Which means to your good health. And it's the same as cheers. So take care, everybody. Thank you so much. No matter where you are in the world, whether it's morning time, afternoon, or evening for you. Stay safe and healthy, and we'll see you soon on the Think Tank again. Good night, good
Everybody.
morning,
Thanks,
good
Mary.
afternoon.
Thanks, y'all. Love y'all.